We are ready and recording.
Okay. Good afternoon, folks. Here I am again, your friendly crab wrestler. And I want to talk about some things today that people probably don't talk about very much, but they think about an awful lot. Two things. One of them is oracles, and the other one is telepathy, which may fit right in. If not, it'll have a tagline, and we'll be doing that next time too. So oracles, you probably don't use oracles very much, but you think about it from time to time. A lot of people have things that they do in their house that they would try to get information from, and the kind of information they try to get is should I do this or should I do that? Is this yes or is it no? Or what should it be? And so those are the kinds of things that they try to get. The Greeks had what they called an oracle at Delphi in Greece. And they would go there, and through some sort of a ceremony, they would ask the question that was pertinent. It was usually a political question for the country or for a group. Of course, the country amounted to maybe city-states, so it could have been somebody from Athens or someplace. Anyway, they would get an answer from the oracle, and they would tend to operate on it. And nobody knew how that oracle could get an answer. And more recent archaeologists and researchers found out that there was a, perhaps, they weren't there at the time, but perhaps there was a gas leaking up from the earth, that when the oracle of Delphi put her chair, it was a her by the way, put her chair over the hole, and that gas was coming up, that she'd go into a trance and was able then to answer the question or not answer it. But anyway, there would be an answer to whatever the Greeks were wanting. That's one kind of oracle. We don't have that readily handy here, although we watch TV a lot, and though sometimes I think we get to use that as an oracle. It's a very bad oracle, by the way. There's other kinds of oracles. You've heard of people that like have a pendulum like that over a piece of paper, and that piece of paper has a yes, no, maybe kind of thing on it, and so that they just hold it there, and whichever way that pendulum swings the most is the answer. That's another kind of oracle. Perhaps you can think of some oracles that you may use in your daily life. There's people who have I Ching in their homes, and that's a book about that thick, and it's Chinese characters, and it's the I Ching, and it's a very old system of divining. That's what you do when you're asked to oracle something. You're asking for a divination of something, and so they get it that way. So that's another sort of oracle. There is another one which I looked in a current popular book that people get off a newsstand. I couldn't find a reference to it, But I found a reference to it in encyclopedias and other things, just for information. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. And that's what I'm talking about is what you call oh, darn it. Quija. You know what that spells? It spells Ouija. And what that means, what Ouija means, it comes from a different language, and it means a yes. A yes or. Now, the way you can use that, and with extreme caution, everything I can read or can find out about is before you start to do any occult sorts of stuff. You know, you're going to do this or that or this. You say a prayer. You have to say a prayer. You should say a prayer. And the reason for saying a prayer, if you will, is to protect yourself while you're doing this. And you say that same prayer when you're done, or a different prayer, but a prayer to protect yourself so that you don't get harmed by what many people call untoward or not so happy or not so kind spirits, those kinds of things. And so if you're going to use a Ouija board, I'll tell you how in a minute, that you should do those prayers so that you protect yourself. And there's lots of them you can use, you know. I'll tell you some next time, but where is it? Here it is. A Ouija board tends to look a lot like this. And what you see here is the alphabet and numbers and yes and no. Now, people do this in various sorts of ways. They can make it this way, or they can make it look differently, like that. But what the principle is that you use this. This is called a planchette. A planchette. It has 3 little stools on it, and it fits right on the alphabet and everything. I would put it up here to show you how it fits up there. And the way you operate it is that you put your hands very lightly on the planchette. And very lightly, I emphasize, because if you put it too hard, it can't move. And if you put it too light, there's no contact. So in order for it to operate, you need to very lightly touch it. And a neat thing is if 2 people are doing it, then they both put their hands on it very lightly as it moves in a direction. It'll move in some sort of direction or it won't. But what you do is you ask it a question. You're asking Ouija a question. You can ask it a yes or no question, or you can ask it something like, who's there? And if it starts to move, it could move and spell out a name. Well, that may be all hocus pocus or something, but it does work for some people. But you have to focus and relax and handle it properly so it can move. Where that's coming from, most likely, is inside you. Just because your hands will begin to move. However, I personally have had a experience with a person in Everett, Washington, that some years ago, many years ago, that it was kind of a girlfriend. Well, she was a girlfriend, and we did some interesting exploring. Like we went to Seattle and went up to this one room, which was a spiritualist room. Spiritualism is what these ladies talked about. So we sat around there for a while, and they told us how, or she told us how they could ask a chief when she wanted to move her piano. She said, "Chief, let's move our piano over there." Now, you couldn't see the chief, but she asked him anyway, and the piano moved over there. So that's what the spiritualist, my experience with the spiritualist directly there in Seattle, and I'm sure there's a whole lot more stuff there. And back to the girlfriend, we were in an evening at the mother's house, and the mother, we had our hands on the Ouija board, on the planchette, and said for the mother to go ahead and ask a question. So she did. And she asked a question about who's there. And this name came across. And the mother said that was a child that had died. The girlfriend didn't know anything about that, she said. So we two were completely in the dark about it, and the mother was there. And when the evening came to a close, the mother wouldn't let me take the Ouija board home, because it was my Ouija board. I'd purchased the Ouija board. She wouldn't let me take it home. And as far as I know, the damn thing's still there. But that was an interesting experience and a real one. Now, there's another thing about Ouija boards. You can ask questions of people who have passed the coil, and you may get an answer. Like these guys on TV, you know, they're always talking to somebody you can't see on TV that somebody's asked a question about. But there's a book called The Unseen Guest, and what that's about is a person who, with a Ouija board, has contacted somebody in the room that was not visible, was a spirit, and the question was asked, well, how close are you? And the answer came back, close enough to touch your shoulder. And that was a little bit hair-raising for those people, according to the book and the story and everything like that. So that's all I'm going to talk about the Ouija board today, and if there's more questions about that or things that I ought to know about that, just, send me an email at ivan.fraser@gmail.com. And remember that one of the best ways to get happy contributors to a thing that you value a lot, such as children that are disabled and need care and that sort of thing, is to hire an auctioneer, hire a company that does auctions, and they'll tell you what to do and set it all up for you. So until next week, I'll see you later.